You ever have one of those brilliant ideas, the one you're absolutely convinced is going to be a game changer? Yeah, we all have. But here's the tough part. Most of those brilliant ideas, well, they end up in what we could call an idea graveyard. So, what's the difference between a huge success and a forgotten failure? It isn't luck, it's a process. And today, we're going to break down the two most important first steps: customer discovery and market testing.
And just so you know, the concepts we're diving into today are based on a lesson from the Flying Wings online school. They're all about helping innovators turn into successful founders by focusing on these exact kinds of practical skills. So let's start our journey in a place that sounds a little dark, but trust me, it's super important to understand: the idea graveyard. This is where so many amazing, potentially world-changing concepts go. The real question is, why? How do they end up here? I mean, this is the question that keeps every entrepreneur, every creator, and every innovator up at night. Why do so many new products, new apps, and new businesses just fizzle out, even when they seem so promising on paper? And here it is. This is the answer, the single biggest reason for failure. It's almost never because the idea itself was bad. It's because the creator fell in love with their solution way before they ever truly understood the customer's problem. It's like they built this beautiful, intricate key for a lock that didn't even exist. So, how do we stay out of that graveyard? Simple. We have to flip our whole mindset. Before we become a builder, we first have to become a customer detective. Our one and only job is to find the problem before we even dream of building the solution. Now, this detective work actually has a name. It's called customer discovery. And look, I know it sounds kind of formal, but the idea is incredibly simple. It means you have to get out of the building, get away from your computer, and step into the world of your potential users. Your mission here is to listen and observe. You are not there to pitch or to sell. You're just gathering clues, not making a bunch of assumptions. And, like any good detective, you've got to have a toolkit. The process looks something like this. First, you figure out who your target customer even is. Then you get out there and really understand their problems by actually talking to them and watching what they do. And you use all that evidence to either confirm or, let's be honest, usually to completely change your original assumptions. But out of all the tools in that kit, one is way more powerful than any other. It's not your fancy business plan, it's not your code, it's your ability to ask the right questions. This is how you uncover the insights that your competitors have totally missed. Just look at the difference here. Asking, hey, do you like our app idea? It feels productive, but it's a total trap. See, most people are polite. They don't want to hurt your feelings, so they'll probably just say, yeah, it's cool, and that gives you this false sense of confidence. But asking a really open question like, tell me about the challenges you face when you're trying to study at home, well, that opens a door to their real life. It gives you the raw, unfiltered truth about their problems, not just their opinion on your pre-baked solution. Okay. So you've put on your detective hat, you've done the work, and you're pretty sure you found a real painful problem. That is a huge step. But here's the thing. An unverified solution is just a guess. It's a hypothesis. Now it's time for the reality check. It's time to test your idea out in the wild. And that's called market testing. This is where you move from theory to practice, where the rubber meets the road. You're not asking about problems anymore. You're finding out if your idea is actually a good solution. Will people really use it? And maybe even more important, would they ever be willing to pay for it? And just like with customer discovery, you have a whole suite of tools to do this. You can run small pilot programs, you can use surveys, you can even test the waters with pre-orders. But one of these methods, one of them, is absolutely crucial for pretty much anyone starting something new. And that's the minimum viable product, or MVP. Seriously, this is one of the most misunderstood ideas in the startup world. An MVP is not just a buggy, half-finished version of your final product. No way. It's the smallest, simplest possible version you can build that still effectively solves that core problem for your customer. The whole point is to maximize your learning while risking the least amount of time and money. So, you've discovered a problem. You've tested your solution with an MVP. You've been learning and improving. But what's it all for? What's the end game here? What's the ultimate prize you're working towards? The ultimate goal, the holy grail of this entire process, is something called product market fit. This is that magical moment. It's when you've built something that so perfectly solves a problem for a big enough group of people that it basically starts to sell itself. Growth stops being this constant uphill battle, and it just happens. It becomes organic. Think about Facebook in the very early days. It didn't launch to the entire planet at once, right? It launched to a super specific market, Harvard students. It solved their very specific problem of connecting with people on campus. Once they nailed that, and only then, did they start to expand. That initial explosive growth was their proof of product market fit. It shows they were satisfying a real demand before they went big. But getting to product market fit isn't a one-and-done deal. It's powered by this continuous engine, the feedback loop. You collect feedback from your users, you use that to improve your product, you test those changes, and then you do it all over again. This cycle, this loop, is what relentlessly pushes your product closer and closer to that perfect fit with the market.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground, from playing detective in the idea graveyard all the way to searching for that magical product market fit. So let's boil it all down to the key things you really need to remember. So if you only remember one thing, remember this cycle. Start by being a detective to find real problems. Then build the smallest thing you can, your MVP, to test your solution. This is the path to product market fit, but only if you talk to your customers every single step of the way and use their constant feedback to get better. It's a loop, not a straight line.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. That idea you have right now, the one you think could be a game changer, it absolutely has the potential to change the world. But its success is going to depend entirely on one thing. Who are you going to listen to first? Your own assumptions or your future customers?